Hi, this is Jeff Driskill, and in today's episode of Fourth and Long, we're going to talk to Matt Fast. And Matt left a corporate gig to start his own business. And by design, they take a lot of crap off of their customers.
Matt, tell us a little bit about who Matt is.
So I was not born and raised in Kansas City area here. I'm a Nebraska.
We won't hold that against you because neither was I.
Well, good. I'm a Nebraska transplant, so
We might hold that
not
against
too
you.
far
but
away.
Let's keep going anyway.
Yeah, Nebraska transplant. Met my wife in Nebraska. We both were born and raised there. And in my previous career, had us bouncing around quite a bit, and happened to land here in Lee Summit.
Right.
And
What was that previous career?
So I worked for Hy-Vee for just over 16 years.
Okay.
And started in college, kind of worked my way up the ladder, bounced around a few places, and landed here in Lee Summit before deciding to go a different route with my career and take a complete 180.
Okay. All right. And so that was literally starting as the bag boy and working your way up into management?
Yeah, so my freshman year of college, I was a assistant manager at a movie theater at 18 years old. Thought I was kind of a big deal.
Okay.
And Hy-Vee hired me as a second assistant manager.
Now, was that the official title? Second
assistant was what it was called. That was like the part-time, you're not an assistant yet, we'll get you there.
Kind of the assistant to the assistant.
Exactly. That's
Okay.
exactly what it was.
All right.
So yeah, I got hired as a sophomore in college, left my movie theater career and went to start at Hy-Vee and started from kind of the basics.
Okay. So when you went to Hy-Vee, was that because you had a burning desire and interest in the grocery business, or was it just, well, this is a good job for while I'm working in college because I'm making more here than I did at the theater and the hours are better?
Yeah, so more so the second.
Okay. All right.
I was at a career fair at college,
Okay.
and Hy-Vee was there.
Okay.
And told me there was opportunities for that second assistant position. I said, yeah, I could probably go do that. And the pay was a lot better. At a movie theater, you kind of get capped pretty early.
You do? I can imagine.
But, so it just seemed like it kind of fit. But what was kind of funny about it is my entire family was in the grocery business. My grandpa, both of my grandparents, my parents. So there was kind of a long history of the grocery industry, and I kind of just fell into it, I guess, for a while.
So Grandma and Grandpa were in the grocery business. So did they run their own grocery store, or were they executives working for Hy-Vee, or what did that look like?
Yeah, so both of my grandparents were executives for a company called Hinky Dinky.
Okay.
Big in Nebraska, Iowa. My Grandpa Fast decided I'm going to go forge my own direction and ran his own grocery stores after a while. So he had 3 grocery stores in the Omaha area. My grandma was an accountant. My dad was a meat cutter. My mom was a bookkeeper. Everybody was involved in that business.
So it really was the family business.
It was. It definitely was. And some things happened, and everybody kind of went different ways, and the grocery business just didn't quite work out for the family. But my dad stayed in meat cutting for a long time, and my mom stayed in bookkeeping for a long time. So kind of stayed in their paths.
Right. And both of those are, fine art kind of careers. I mean, you have to know what you're doing in either of them to be successful. So
yeah.
Okay. All right. So Matt is working for Hy-Vee and inadvertently got into the grocery business, but is working his way up through the organization as you went through college?
Yeah, so I did get that assistant manager position in college. So
right, way to go.
After a year or so. I ran a night crew in college, my junior year of college. So got to experience a few different things. And I got to my senior year and realized I just kind of enjoyed it. Like I enjoyed the people aspect of it, the busyness aspect of it. And when I graduated college and I was looking at different opportunities, there was an opportunity for the next position up at Hy-Vee. And I had a new director come in, new leadership. I was like, let's go down this path. I love what I'm doing. Why would I go change it?
Right.
There's a lot of potential down the road. So yeah, took another step in my career with Hy-Vee and really got to learn under that new management and learned what that path was going to be to someday run my own store.
Okay. So were you still in Omaha at that time, or had you started the moving part of it?
I still was in Omaha. I still was at the same store. I started as a sophomore in college.
Okay.
And ended up being in that next position for about 2 years and realized the next step was time to make a move.
Okay.
To kind of continue up with Hy-Vee, it was you can't stay in the same place.
All right.
So about 2 years after that, we made our first move and left everything my wife and I both knew, as we were both born and raised in Omaha, and took off to the next step.
Okay. And is that what brought you to Kansas City, or was there an interim stop or stops?
Quite a few stops in between.
Okay.
We went to Sioux City, Iowa, and we spent a few years there. And then we came close to Omaha again. We opened a brand new store in Plattsmouth, Nebraska.
Okay.
Which was a very small town, and they were building a brand new Hy-Vee store there. So got to do that opportunity. Then went and helped a store in Omaha while still living in Plattsmouth. That was struggling. And then we got our first director assignment in Manhattan, Kansas. So I had gone through all my training, done a few programs, and they said, hey, you're ready to run a store. Do you want to go to Manhattan, Kansas?
Okay.
And I said, yeah, let's do it. Sounds like a great town.
Right. So the one that was struggling, you opened a new store in the small town, but then they asked you to go and help out the one that was in Omaha that was struggling. So what was it that they were having difficulties with, and how did you get involved in fixing that and correcting it?
Yeah, so in Plattsmouth, Nebraska, we had opened the store. About a year after we opened, I finished. There was a program called Hy-Vee University to kind of train to become a director. Okay. That's a year-long program. I had finished that, so I was ready to go run a store. And my vice president came to me and said, hey, I need your help. We have a store that the leadership's not strong. They're struggling to retain good people. And it's in an area that should be successful. Okay. And asked me, hey, will you help me out there for 6 months before we send you off to go run your own store? This is going to be kind of a good opportunity for you to just kind of hone your skills, help a team, bring your energy and passion that you have for what you do, and just go be that guy. Okay. They still retained the director that was there, but he needed some help. So I was able to go do that for 6 months and really just dig into a store that just needed some love and some help, that had a lot of good history. And we really, in honestly 6 months, we turned a lot of things around there, which was great.
So what do you think the key elements of that turnaround was?
There was not a strong communication with a lot of the department managers and the assistants. There just wasn't that strong communication. A lot of the assistant managers just kind of did their own thing. They weren't a team.
Okay.
Where everywhere I had come from, assistant managers would go out together and do things together. And so we kind of just tried to build that camaraderie in the store, so they had that outside as well. Okay. But just built the we care about you feel again. That just seemed like everyone kind of was going their own direction and just built that team. So we started having a lot of department meetings, once a month, and meat department would get together and I'd be involved in that, and the produce department would get together and I'd be involved in that. So they were talking. Okay. And then meetings with the leadership within the store too. We had some people that we did have to get rid of that just weren't part of that atmosphere that we were wanting to create. That maybe just kind of got put in and lost along the way, and weren't that right fit. So we made some changes in some of the positions and just got the communication back.
Okay. It's interesting that you highlighted those three elements: communication, people doing their own thing, and then the lack of teamwork. Yeah. I mean, those are almost the classic studies in
Yeah.
in leadership failure or team failure or dysfunction, and it isn't always the result of the leadership failing, but the leadership not understanding what the team understanding is.
Yeah.
I mean, communications is oftentimes, I hear that all the time. That we don't have good communications. Well, why?
Yeah.
Well, what's the breakdown? Where does that come from? Well, we share this information, but then when you talk to the team, they're like, well, they don't share enough with us. They don't really tell us what's going on. So, getting those two sides together sometimes is the biggest challenge, just so that I can communicate something, but if you don't understand what I'm communicating, then I can communicate all day long, but if you don't understand it, it doesn't help us. And we're still going to have that breakdown in communication. And then if we're all doing our own thing and not doing the same thing, it's really hard to be on a team.
Yeah.
Because the team has to pull together, right?
Yeah, they do. And I'm a classic over-communicator where I want to, and a problem fixer at the same time.
Okay.
I want to over-communicate and make sure that I'm seeing what you need from me. And when we did those, the department manager meetings, I changed those to once a week. They were maybe being done once a quarter.
Okay.
Where we sat down every Monday at 2 o'clock and just talked about, here's some things I need you guys to know. Here's what's going on in your world. I didn't want it to always be me standing there preaching of here's what I need, here's what you need to do. But we'd have some meetings and be like, okay, we're going around the horn today. I want to hear what's going on in your world. How can I help you? Mm-hmm. And we'd have a meeting where it'd just be everybody talking together about things going on in the store, things they needed help with, things that I wouldn't have been aware of if we weren't talking about it.
Right.
So
then there was a positive effect for you being there for those 6 months? Is that?
Yep.
So you were able to affect all of those things, improve communications, get kind of unified on processes so that we're all doing the same thing.
Yep.
And then that helps build the teamwork and helps, everybody realize, hey, we're really all in this together on the same team. And not, I had was working with a client this morning with some folks, and they were talking about the disconnect between their sales and their service departments, and how one points the finger at the other one, and so it's so important for us all to be working and pulling in the same direction.
Yeah.
So the success there of resolving those issues led to the next move, and we went out to Manhattan, Kansas, huh?
We did, yeah. So had a good, successful run for those 6 months in Omaha, and the vice president called me and said, "Hey, there's an opportunity in Manhattan. You guys ready to go?" And it was pretty much right at 6 months, just like he had told me when we started. I said, "Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go do it." So I told the wife, I said, "Hey, would you want to go to small town Iowa or Manhattan, Kansas?" She goes, "Manhattan, Kansas." So we were off, and went out there for my first director's assignment.
Okay.
A store that didn't have a lot of history, was fairly new. I think it was only about 8 years old when I got there. So, in a community that was really dominated by a competitor. So, Hy-Vee had been there for 8 years, where Dillon's had been there for 40 years.
Okay.
So lots of different challenges. College town,
Mm-hmm.
not a lot of tenure in employees and managers and leaders in the store versus, the stores I had been at in communities that were established with Hy-Vee. Mm-hmm. So lots of new challenges, but lots of fun challenges, and got to experience a lot of different things out there and kind of leave my mark after 3 years in Manhattan.
Okay. So what were some of the different things that, from a leader's perspective, that you experienced in Manhattan that you hadn't seen or experienced in the other stores that you'd been at?
It just was getting involved in the community was a big part of it. The involvement in the community and the culture of Hy-Vee, that was such a big thing of Hy-Vee, is get involved in your community, be a part of the community. And in Manhattan, there hadn't been that yet.
Okay.
So it was, I'm going to go join the chamber. I'm going to go find groups I can talk to, Rotary clubs, and different things that I can go become a part of the community and show them who Hy-Vee is and sponsor events and just be part of that community. So that was kind of the biggest thing when I got there is we got to be a part of the community. Like, we got to show them who Hy-Vee is.
Okay.
Because they don't know us. We haven't been here that long. They know who Dillon's is.
Right.
They don't know who Hy-Vee is.
Right. Okay. All right. So we've become more involved in the community. We've created the awareness, and we've managed to then build up the awareness, and that leads to growth in the store.
Yeah. I think the involvement just kind of took us to a new level. People within the community that were higher up became part of Hy-Vee, and were seen in Hy-Vee that weren't seen there before, because we showed we're all about the community.
Right.
We want to be a local business in the community and sponsor events and do those things. Mm-hmm. So we started to see an increase in traffic, an increase in customer count, by just being a part. We created an even stronger relationship with K-State, which in a college town is kind of a big deal.
It's a very big deal.
Where Friday nights before football games, they'd come in and the band would come in and play and walk around the store. And people would line up waiting for the band to come in on Friday nights to hear them before
that's fun.
Before they go off on Saturday.
Yeah.
So, just created that sense of community.
All right. So you've positively affected the appearance and the relationship with the community, bringing in more folks. How did you solve the tenure thing? I mean, if you've got jobs that are constantly turning over, how did you address that so that you were able to hang on to your workforce?
Yeah, some of that kind of came back to the communication and just telling the story of what Hy-Vee is and who it is, because most of them didn't know that. They didn't come from another Hy-Vee store previously. And just kind of sitting down with everybody individually as far as my management team of, how can I help you? What's your goals? What's your expectations? Because most of the crew was a lot younger than previous places I had been.
Okay.
So what's your path? What do you want to see for yourself? Mm-hmm. Do you want to be a catering manager forever? Or do you see yourself being an HR person or an assistant to the director? Or do you see yourself on a completely different path? How can I help you get to where you want to be? So having those conversations, I think, was big early on.
Okay. All right. So then, how did our path continue there?
Yeah, so 3 years there, great connections in the community, great improvement in the store, and got the call to, hey, we got an opportunity in Lee Summit. Would you like to take the next step and run one of our top stores in the company? We've been impressed with what you did here. We think you're ready for running one of these stores. So that was an easier yes from the wife to go to Kansas City versus a smaller town. But yeah, so we talked and said, let's do it. So we decided to come to Lee Summit.
All right.
For the next step. So
we get here to Lee Summit, and what did you find and discover in the store? And I'm if I remember, it was the Lee Summit West store.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
It was. So came there. My first day was the day after the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. So, already started pretty chaotic for the first day. Took over for a guy that had retired, was a great individual. A lot of great leadership in that store. So really walking into a really good opportunity.
Right.
A lot of knowledge, a lot of great leadership. My first day was day after Super Bowl, and within 6 weeks of me being there, COVID hit.
Okay.
Completely changed the course of everything.
Yeah.
For most people. I'd only been there 6 weeks, and we had a record week, my 7th week, in the history of the store that's been there for 30 plus years. So it was kind of like, just hold on. And having that communication with the team, like, just hold on, we're going to just all fight through this together,
Right.
not knowing what the future is going to hold.
So what was the records that you were setting? I mean, it was
Sales.
toilet paper?
Sales. Well, it was, if we could get toilet paper, it was toilet paper.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
I remember not being able to find toilet paper
Yeah,
on the
there,
shelves.
There was a lot of things you couldn't find. We had 2 weeks of that, where it was just, we don't know what's happening. We can't keep the shelves full. We don't know when product's going to come in. And it just continued for a year. And then at the same time, we had kind of said, hey, more and more of these companies are doing aisles online and online shopping, so we need to be a part of that.
Okay.
Because people are going to be afraid to come to the store.
Right.
So now we got to implement that on top of all the chaos that was happening, which presented some challenges.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want you to talk to us about those challenges, because that was a unique time for every industry, regardless of what you were doing or what level of the organization you were at. You were affected in multiple ways, but specifically, you're the leader of that location, and you're as I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you're as uncertain about things that are going on as everybody else is, but yet you've got to be the calm hand on the wheel that, helps everybody else, pull in or rein in their concerns and their emotions and be willing to show up to work, even though we're told that, nobody should show up to work except essential. And I don't want to be essential because that means I have to show up to work. I mean, that was a unique time for everybody.
It was definitely the most challenging point of my life. And let me backtrack a little bit. So I told you it was the 7th week of me being at the store. My wife and kids were still in Manhattan trying to finish the spring semester of school.
Okay. Yep.
So I was living on a cot in a friend's basement, waiting for the family to come. And this happens, and we'll just stay there. We have to find a house. How are we going to find a house during this time? So a lot of uncertainty across all aspects of life.
Yeah.
But yeah, you had to be that kind of leader of, hey, we're going to get through it. We'll fight through this together. Every day was completely different. Some people didn't want to be that essential worker and didn't want to be there.
Absolutely.
Some people were ready to be there. But it was such a unique time because most people were sheltering at home, and we were going to work overtime.
Yeah.
And work more hours to make sure there was stuff on the shelf for people as best we could.
Yeah.
So it was, a truly unique, difficult time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you think were some of the biggest lessons that you learned at that time as a leader, and to enable you to get everybody through that and understand that we're still going to be here tomorrow, we've still got a job to do, and all of those things?
Yeah, I think adaptability. It was a huge lesson for me during COVID, because there was no normal day when you came into work. Mm-hmm. Something was going to change. You're going to have to put a screen up on all the registers today, or we're going to have to go do this today, or these masks, or go order this, go find this. Adaptability, mm-hmm. I think. I was and I still am a little bit of a very regimented person, but you learn during that process that we have to be flexible. We have to know that there's going to be changes every single day.
Right.
We can't come in expecting this, and trying to communicate that to the team too, and giving them that expectation of, I don't know what's going to happen 12 hours from now, mm-hmm. but we have to all be okay, taking care of each other and being there for each other. And I think it was a good bonding time for the team. For me being a new guy coming in, mm-hmm. We were able to get to know each other really quickly and really help each other through that time.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, and all of that, I mean, the fact that you hope that every leader that you ever have to work with is adaptable and flexible, and yet sometimes that's the exact opposite in our experiences. Yeah. So as you recognized that you had to be in those areas, how was it that you continued to communicate and share that and get everybody on board that I'm admitting I don't know everything right now, but we're going to figure this out together?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of daily texts in our text group between me and my managers of just, we got to think about this. Someone comes up with an idea that maybe somebody else didn't think about, oh, we need to do this, or this truck's moving to this day. Just having that constant communication. Again, the communication from early on to the end of my time with Hy-Vee, it was so important to just keep each other all on the same page and not leave anything out there to chance or, the unexpected.
Yeah.
So,
well, you got them through that tough period, and I know that was the Hy-Vee store that we shopped at, so
yeah.
Appreciated that you were able to find the toilet paper resources and bring them in the way you did. So we're cruising along at one of their biggest stores, and then you decided to make a career change, right?
I did. It's there was a lot of things. When you're with a company for 16 years, it's hard to ever think of leaving. And I love so much about what I was able to do, and the experiences I got, and the leadership I grew into through Hy-Vee.
Right.
I started as a 19-year-old kid and learned a lot. Met my wife at Hy-Vee. So many amazing experiences, but it kind of got to the point of I wasn't where I wanted to be in my life of the balance with my kids.
Okay.
I worked a lot of hours, and that was one of the biggest challenges that I struggled with. Was I'd be in the store before 6 a.m. and I'd get home at 7 p.m. and maybe get to kiss my kids goodnight, and that was it. And I knew I didn't want that for the rest of my life. And I needed to find something that created a better balance for me.
Okay.
So I think that was the biggest thing. There also was just things over time at Hy-Vee that just didn't align with my principles. That I just felt like it was time to look at some different options of what else could I do. I've only run grocery stores for my whole career. What other businesses could I go venture out? So I started to kind of see what else was out there.
Okay.
And happened to call a friend of mine I met through the chamber when I was in Manhattan, Kansas, that started a business picking up dog poop. And
say that again, please.
Exactly. He started a business picking up dog poop.
Okay.
And when I met him at a chamber event, I remember the first time I met him, I was like, this guy's crazy. This is what he does? And I just happened to call him, and we had about a 2-hour conversation on the phone of the success he had seen in doing that for 4 years, and the balance he had in his life. He was getting ready to have their first child, and we just had conversations, and so many of the things lined up with where I wanted to be. Kind of forging my own path and really just doing something that I had complete control over.
Okay.
So I came home to my wife and I was like, I'm miserable. I need to do something different. What do you think about me going to pick up dog poop? And she honestly just looked at me and said, I just want you to be happy. Because she knew the stress and the struggle I was having.
So Matt, let's dig in on that for just a second. You have transitioned from this, hey, I love my job, I love what I'm doing, and now I'm so stressed, I'm not happy here, I don't want to do this any longer.
Yeah.
What was it that got you to that point? And where I'm going with this maybe specifically is you were talking about being there at 6 o'clock in the morning and not leaving till 7. I mean, you're the manager of the store. Why can't you be able to have a more friendly schedule and be there for your family and do those things? How is it as the leader of that organization that you got yourself to that point?
Yeah, I think COVID was kind of where some of the changes started.
Okay.
I think there was probably some belief in my mind that some of the things that I had that were important to me weren't aligning with the things that were important to Hy-Vee. Some of the principles that I found very important, Hy-Vee, I started to see didn't feel the same as certain things, and just differing opinions.
So was that a change in their management philosophy or a change in your management philosophy?
I change it there.
Okay.
I think it's the bigger you become as a company, the harder it is to keep that small community feel.
Sure.
And I think I started to see some of that towards the end of my time in Manhattan, and thought, at least I'm going to be a great change to go experience something. A store that's been around for a long time, has really great people, that is a part of the community, mm-hmm. and go see what that feels like there, and see if it's not, then we'll move that direction at some point. But COVID hit, and really just I saw things that where some of the priorities lied that I didn't agree with.
Okay.
During that time, and it really told me. Maybe there's a change that I need to make for myself down the road, because I don't feel like we're marrying together on certain things.
Right.
And I wanted to spend as much time as I wanted to retire in Lee Summit. I wanted this to be my end goal. And typically that's how Hy-Vee kind of worked, is you worked your way up and you landed at one of those great stores, and as long as you put in those numbers that you should, you retired out of there. The guy I took over for had retired his last 14 years in Lee Summit. Right. And that was kind of off the table. And I didn't want to have to move again. Okay. When we came here, my daughter was in 4th grade, and it was her 3rd school. So I just didn't want to continue to do that to my kids constantly.
Right.
And when there was kind of talk of, hey, move might need to be made, and you might need to go do this, it was time to kind of start looking.
Okay.
As far as the work hours go, yeah, it just became getting calls on Sundays and getting calls every night of, this needs to be done by 7 a.m., this needs to be done by 8 a.m., this needs to be done, you need to come in on Sunday and get this done.
From higher up?
From my bosses.
Yes, okay.
Right. And some of that was, as when I started with Hy-Vee, every display you built was what you ordered and what you did and what you went and found. Mm-hmm. To where the last couple of years I was at Hy-Vee is, hey, we have a partnership with this company. These displays need to be up for 2 weeks in this spot and for this long, because they're paying those things. And kind of constricted what we were able to do.
Okay. As
leaders of running the store. It was more the store's run from above us. And that was just different for me, and something I struggled with, because I wanted to be the guy that ran the store and put mm-hmm. the numbers and did the things to show, here's what I can do, here's what we can do as a team, versus all your displays are now planned for you, everything's now set. Frito didn't get this report. Matt, get in by 7 a.m. and send me that report. So it just became, I felt like I was a guy sitting behind a computer, and instead of the guy that could be on the floor and being there with my team.
Right.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of changes in the last probably 2 years of my time that just kind of made me decide it was time to do something else.
All right, and I guess because we're doing this podcast, so things had gone to shit, so you decided to go to shit.
In a sense, yeah, pretty much. Why not go just deal with shit literally?
All right, but we really call it Poo. So
Yes.
tell us about the Poo Squad.
Yeah, so after having that conversation with my buddy out in Manhattan, I said, hey, we need to bring Poo Squad to Kansas City. All signs are pointing to I can create a pretty big location out in Kansas City, so we need to go do it. And after talking to the wife and after kind of making that difficult decision to leave, we got started and just jumped in head first and said, we're going after it in every way possible. And I think I left Hy-Vee on a Tuesday, and I built my website and my Facebook page on Wednesday. Had my first ad out there Wednesday, had a customer by Thursday, and didn't even have a truck yet. So I had to go buy a truck on Friday before I could get that customer started.
Okay.
But yeah, we just went for it and jumped in the chamber and jumped in a Rotary Club and jumped in a lot of different things and said we're just going to be the biggest thing. People didn't know the industry even existed.
Correct.
So we're going to make it known, and we're just going to go get after it. So that was kind of the plan.
So you made the decision to be the King of Poo in KC.
Yep.
You said the signs all pointed toward it. What were the demographics that you were looking at, or what was it, the signs that you were reading that showed you that there was such an opportunity to pick up dog poo?
Yeah, so I had talked to a couple other companies across the country, and one guy in New York and one guy in Orlando.
Okay.
That had been doing it for 20 plus years. And just hearing their success stories as well, that there's a need, like there's a want for this service. And looking in Kansas City, there was nobody doing it. There was one or two people doing it that were small companies that
Okay.
It was like there's a prime opportunity to go, build this industry and this business here. So seeing that and just hearing those success stories of the people that have done it and the growth, especially over the last couple of years. We were coming out of COVID at that point, so everybody was kind of getting back to work, but a lot of people bought dogs during COVID.
A bunch of new pets.
A lot of new pet owners out there. So, it just seemed like everything else I was looking at doing just didn't seem like my fit. But with this, I could forge what I wanted to do in my direction and my path. Some of that stuff that kind of towards the end was taken away from me at Hy-Vee, that's the stuff I enjoyed, is building and creating something. So I felt like I can create something from nothing. So let's go do it.
Yeah. So both of us came from the corporate world and started our own business.
Yep.
Timing-wise, yours maybe was a little behind my start, but at the same time, we've gone through some of the same struggles. So being a corporate guy, how was it that you made that transition? And today I know you've got employees and multiple trucks, and so kind of walk us through that growth process.
Yeah, so many challenges in the beginning.
Yeah.
When you're starting something that nobody's ever heard of. But I just told myself I have the capability from my career and my training and things I've done that we can grow. We can make this happen. So it was just getting involved because I wanted to be I started in March, and I told myself by the end of the year, I'm going to have an employee full-time that's taking care of these yards for us. But I'm going to build it until then. I'm just going to go in every yard myself, and I'm going to take care of everything myself, and we're going to build this up. And at the end of the year, I think in November, I had to hire a full-time employee to come on and help because I couldn't keep up with the amount of yards that we had. So it just getting involved in so many things, I think, got us to that point. The Chamber of Commerce was a huge asset for me to go out there and wear my bright orange shirt that we wear all around town and just tell people who we were. Getting in a Rotary Club, finding networking groups, just finding different things to get out there. When I started out, it's not like we have a huge advertising budget to go out there and have a commercial and and be all over the radio. It was just go be seen and tell people your story.
Yeah.
So that was what we did.
Okay. And I remember one of the first times that I met you at a chamber meeting, and you told me, and my reaction is, there's a business in that? Yeah. And so in November, you had to add your first employee because you couldn't keep up with it.
Correct.
So that really wasn't an opportunity for you yet to step back from picking it up. The volume had just gotten
Correct.
so much that you needed 2 people picking it up instead of just one. So how did you get to the point that you were actually able to make that transition? Because that is one of those points that so many new entrepreneurs, new business owners struggle with, making that call of, when do I stop working in the business and start working, or how do I start working on the business?
Yeah, it's a tough thing that I struggled with for the first few years, of trying to balance, hey, let's make sure we have an income coming in, because I'm the sole provider for my family, and making sure that I'm kind of pulling myself back so I can continue to grow the business. Because I can't grow the business if I'm out in somebody's backyard.
Correct.
So really, for the first probably 3 years, I was in yards more than I should have been. Finally getting to that point after that 3-year hump of kind of having another person that is my flex person. I realized we have ups and downs throughout the year for holidays and seasonality, that I've got to have that person that can kind of be my floater, that can do other stuff and help me with the back end, but also be that person that covers so I don't have to. So once I kind of established that person, that made my life a little easier and helped me continue to focus on the business versus just being in it.
Okay, so you got 2 full-time Poo operators and a backup? Currently?
So, no, we have 6 full-time right now.
Awesome.
So we're almost 5 years in. We have 6 full-time, 1 part-time, and a floater.
Okay.
That kind of helps cover.
Floater kind of has a couple of different connotations there. I
guess that's true, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, so you've grown to that point, and you're still actively involved in the chamber. You're still involved in the Rotary. You're still doing the marketing and growing the business. So talk to us about how you have developed that team to the point that you can hand that off and stay focused on working on the business the way you are.
Yeah, it was a very different kind of leadership than in my previous career.
Okay.
Because most of my employees start from their own home. They have a vehicle, and they're routed based on where they live. So if they live in the Northland, I'm going to give them routes that are in the Northland. Okay. Which means I don't see them very often. Instead of walking into a grocery store and seeing the people every single day.
Right.
So it was kind of a, how do I lead this team that I don't see every day, that I just have to either talk on the phone, and most people don't like to talk on the phone anymore, sometimes text.
Yeah.
How do I lead them and keep our business moving with the same direction that I want it to have? So kind of learning that process of the communication styles of my individuals, finding ways to get us together more often, whether that's, we do team breakfast like once a quarter, just get the team together so they can see the other people that are out there doing it, because it's a very independent job for them.
Okay.
They come in, they get in their truck, they go scoop their yards they got to scoop, and they go back to their house. And so just trying to build that relationship is more difficult when you have an independent team.
Yeah,
like this.
When they're not coming into a central location to pick up a truck every morning or to, absolutely. So, how do you keep your teams motivated? I mean, there's so many things that I could throw out there about the kind of job that this is. I mean, how do you find the perfect poo picker, and then how do you keep that retain that type of an employee?
You know, it's almost the opposite kind of person from all the people I hired in my Hy-Vee days. the people that I have working for me now love the independence
Okay.
of the job, that they don't have someone over their head every single day saying, go do this, go fix this, go do this. I give them a lot of leeway and trust after their couple weeks of training with me of you know what needs to be done. So go do it. You're an adult. You can figure this job out. But the independence they love, as well as just they don't have to deal with a lot of people. They maybe get to deal with some dogs, which they enjoy.
Right.
But they essentially can just kind of put their head down, do their work, and go home. And it's a very different type of person than what I would have ever wanted at Hy-Vee. Because I wanted that person with a personality that talked to the customer, that could work well in a group setting. This is a very individualized, independent job.
Okay. Which I guess is a little bit different than what I had anticipated, thinking that as, jobs are created and they go out, that you wanted them interacting with the homeowner, and that even perhaps the best resource was the fact that you're in house A on Maple Street, and there's 5 other houses on Maple Street that they could be stopping at, talking to, getting introduced to, getting referred to. I mean...
Yeah, and there's some of our team has built pretty good relationships with their clients.
Okay.
Because they do the same yards every single week.
Sure.
Then they get to know those people. But the majority of our customers are at work when we're there. I mean, they're working their job, and we're going there 9 to 5 and scooping their yard. So there's a ton of yards that we don't have any interaction whatsoever. Even with some of the clients as they start service, I've got some clients I've never had a conversation with. That they fill out a form, they send a text that they want to start service. I'll respond to them via text, and we'll get started. So it's very unique because it's different than everything I ever do in my 16 years at Hy-Vee. It was build those relationships, talk to people.
Right.
It's one of those services that some people just want to know it's done, and they don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
So it's a kind of mix of people, but also a lot of what we're doing is to be able to be successful. It's the efficiencies of my employees in the yards. I've got to build them a route that's super dense, and they've got to be able to do it quickly so we can move on to the next one.
Okay. All right. So talk to us about the challenges that you have faced as the leader and the solutions that you have had to figure out to get to solve them.
Yeah, so the biggest thing I didn't realize in this when I started was the seasonality of when people start service with us.
Okay.
We work year-round, but January through April is when the majority of people start service with us.
Okay.
We'll probably get about 80% of our clients for the year in those 4 months.
Starting in January, going through April.
And which seems crazy. But as I've done this through the years, people want to get us set up before they start their mowing service. And they're going to call their mowing service in March, April to get them started for the year. So, and when that first snow melts and you realize you haven't been out there for a while, it's, man, I really got to get somebody to do this for me. So I don't have this big a mess. So those kind of couple things have just been what have kind of focused our advertising efforts in different things. But January through April is an incredibly crazy and chaotic busy time. So having some seasonal help, I didn't realize I needed early on.
Okay.
Helps us tremendously, because if I don't, I get caught back in the cycle of I'm out taking care of a customer and not running the business the way I should be. So just kind of figuring out the seasonalities of a service business. It's so similar to mowing in a lot of senses that I compare it to that a lot.
Okay.
That you hire your mower in the spring and you have them for the year. They hire us a little bit sooner than that, and have us for the year. Okay. So it's battling that was a challenge originally, but I think we're getting there.
Recognizing the trends obviously is one of the biggest first challenges, and I would have never guessed because we know the deposits are made on a regular, ongoing basis throughout the whole year, but that the seasonality of when they hire or decide on a service is, in those later winter months and the start of the spring.
Yeah, I told you I hired my first employee in November of my first year. By February of that, still in that first year technically, myself and that employee were both maxed out again. And I had to go find another person. So in the matter of 2.5 months, we already were, that's how much we had grown. And I was just like completely caught off guard of January and February. So learning as I went.
Right. And getting you to that point of, making the decisions of how do you go about attracting, potential employees and having them up and ready to go. And, the maybe the training is not that intensive, but I can't even imagine how you advertise for that type of a position. And is he serious?
Yeah, I got that a lot in the beginning, early on, for sure. But it's been kind of crazy that the hiring aspect has not been as difficult as I thought it'd be. When you kind of sit down with people, or you put that posting out there and explain kind of how the job works, there's so many people that just want that job that they can work outside. They don't have to deal with a lot of people, and they can work independently. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's so much that attracts people to that, they don't really care what the job itself is.
Okay.
So I get, I hired a person, my second person I hired, she ended up bringing me 3 other employees over the next couple of years because she enjoyed her job that much and told more people about it that her husband ended up coming to work for me. She had a part-time job on the weekends that a person from there ended up coming to work for us. It just was incredible, the amount of just that people enjoy it because of those aspects. Mm-hmm. So it kind of shifted how I kind of pitch what the job is to people of, hey, you want an independent job, you can work outside and not have to deal with many people? This is going to be it for you.
Right. And Matt, that says a great deal, I think, not just about the type of job that it is. All right, that's being very humble on your part, but also about the type of leadership that they are experiencing. And has she given you any feedback toward that area as to, how you're leading her, or what she is picking up from you, or just the effect that you're having on her to the point that she has recruited that many people for you?
Yeah, I mean, when I sit down with my employees once a year, one-on-one, and we talk and just see how
once a year.
Yeah. Okay. See how things are going individually, because I think that's important, that to do that from time to time and see what their expectations are and make sure I'm fulfilling those. When I created this business, one of the big reasons I left my previous career was the balance. And I want to give my employees that too. So that's a huge importance to me, is they get holidays off. They get paid time off. Even early on when I didn't know if I could afford giving my employees paid time off and holidays, we were going to do it. And since we've started, we take off the week of Christmas. From Christmas Day to New Year's Day, every employee, no matter part-time or full-time, get that time off, and they get paid for that time off. Because I want them to have balance in their lives. I want that for me, and I want that for my crew. Mm-hmm. So I think giving them the balance is a big part. Being flexible with how we do things. When we get into the summer and there's a heck of a lot of daylight, it's a little more difficult in the winter. I don't care if my employees start at 8 a.m. or 10 a.m. I give them that flexibility as long as their job gets done.
Sure.
So they can schedule appointments and they can schedule things around their work schedule. It doesn't have to be, I got to take time off to go to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So just trying to make it a place for them has been feedback I've received that they really love and enjoy. So just trying to create an atmosphere that, while it's not the most glamorous job, I treat them like it's the most glamorous job.
Okay, fair enough. So we're getting toward the end of our conversation here, and I'm wondering, as you reflect back on both your corporate days and now being an entrepreneur and owning your own business, what would be some of the most important things that you have learned over the time that you wish that 19-year-old Matt that was just the assistant to the assistant would have known, or if you could tell him in advance, that would help today's Matt be even further along, or would have been better prepared him for the journey?
Yeah, I always have trouble looking back and saying what I would have done different, because I think everything kind of leads you to where you are for a reason. I think really understanding people early on, I think I learned that as I went, but understanding, building that rapport with people and having that conversation and that communication and understanding what's important to them, I think learning as a younger individual would have helped me sooner. But I think the adaptability of COVID, if I could have learned to be more adaptable in my early ages, that probably would have worked well in my favor as well. But yeah, I mean, I do think everything kind of happens for a reason as far as what your path is, and I learned a lot between my corporate career and doing this now, that I think I've been able to build good systems and good teams in both positions, and I'm really thrilled with where we're at.